All right, we're back, Fred. I wanted to move some hoses around. Tucked away underneath this is this fitting right here. And this, when disconnected, will drain the fluid out of this. The other option is stick a hose on this end, disconnect this, turn it around, tick it upside down. Not worth it. If you take this right here and stick it through the openings here, it'll come out the back of the machine and you can hold it up, no fluid will come out, stick a hose in it and stick it into a draining receptacle. You're not probably going to have time to change this before the proper fittings come in from China, where there'll be something more organized, but nobody has a machine yet that's got any kind of drainage system, and this works fine if you just stick it through there. So where it goes now, you just stick it in the back of the machine there, and it has plenty of room to stay out of the way. Now when we go to the fans right here, the fans are held in by the pressure of the machine. The machine on the frame, I'm stepping on something.
Okay.
I'm off the table. Okay. Here's the fan. Now, if you pull back on the machine and pull out, they'll remove. The fan sits here and rests against this point right here. Simply put it in right there and snap it in, and that's where it'll stay. It's the same thing for the other side. After the fan is inserted right here, if you were removing it for draining it, the panels right here come in the bottom, then fit into the groove right here. I'll put some Velcros across here tonight, and that way you can peel them off, but there'll be no reason for it. It went into making a panel for this, and they did that, and then it just didn't look right to me, so then we went to a one-piece thing that will go over here, come down, and go across. And if I'm going to go to that length, I'm not going to use aluminum, I'm going to use stainless steel. So that's where we're at right now. These things are simply cosmetic. If people, no one else has complained about they found them fine. In fact, most people completely remove them because they like seeing the machine operate inside. Okay, now the machine is plugged in here, and we know that because the red light is lit up. That tells us we have power. When we activate the machine, the first thing we always want to make sure is that both of these valves are pointed forward. If these valves were both crossed like this, the machine could take, it would have nowhere for the pressure to release, and it could pop off a hose. That's why I usually strap this one shut and use this for plasma and then this one for gas, or mix them. I think you're smart enough to keep them both forward. This says plasma. You keep that forward, you go to that position, you got plasma. Put it back to the neutral position, then move this one to gas, you have gas. Now, this is your flow meter over here. To activate and measure the amount of gas coming out, there's a receptacle on the side right here. There's one on this side. It says out. That's where the gas comes out of. We'll activate the machine, and the computer in the machine is going to look at the unit as a whole, measuring the water temperature, the ambient air temperature, measuring the amount of current it's drawing, and it will calculate how close or has the machine already met the therapeutic levels of hydrogen. This is the light that tells you when it is making a very high amount of gas for bubbling. We're going to reduce that amount of gas for breathing, which we'll come into in a second video. We'll activate the machine here for 30 minutes. Takes about 15 seconds for the machine to activate. Okay, the light's blinking. We have agitation. We're making gas right now. We look at our temperature gauge. It's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. It tells us the temperature. Now that I'm mounting there for you so that you can see the temperature easy. Most machines would have the controller mounted behind this plate and you see nothing. There's reasons why we're going to go into the temperature when we get into the plasma. It's more critical of temperature than HHO production of gas. So, as the machine reaches operating temperature, the light continues to blink right here. But that does not mean we can't bubble water or breathe it. It's great. Now, the machine has a 0 to 1.5 parts per million meter on here. 0.5 parts per million, or excuse me, liters, 0.5 liters per minute is right here. And what you would bubble at is that position, but breathing, you'd want to breathe half that position. And we have a reducer that we'll go through in a part here. Now, when you're bubbling the water, this is the apparatus that you're going to use. You're going to run the line into the top of it here. It's going to go down into the bubbler and come up. It's going to come out this hole or one of these flaps if you have them open. I suggest that you keep them closed and just let the gas come out here. Now, this stone will sit about just a little ways off the bottom. It's simply pushed in with a connector here. I don't use any glue on any of the fittings because that makes smell and contaminants. So that hose will pressure fit into there. You can drop this in here and it'll work fine to bubble 2 liters of water a day to keep you healthy per person. Now, if you get into a situation where you've got a different shaped bottle, I'm going to give you some of my special stones. This one right here works good in a soda bottle or a small bottle like this or something that you want to get it in. This one here is the same stone that's in here, and it's useful for other things. These white ones are much more expensive and much better quality for putting out nano bubbles. I'll explain a little about nano bubbles later. Now, the only thing you're really going to do from time to time is add water as the fuel that you use for the generator here. Now, it looks a little murky in there, but that's just because of the bubbles that are agitating. The water is actually very clear. And when you turn it on and it becomes agitated, the level rises substantially. I would like it to be at this level when it's on and running, which means that the level would be at this first line or below it, just barely seeing it. Having it at this position here rather than higher gives more space for the bubbles to fall back down that might be ejected when this thing gets really roaring. Now, if we were to measure the amount of gas that's coming out with this flow meter, we want to make sure that we are in the gas position. And you'll know that right away because you'll hear it and you'll see many small bubbles coming out of this reservoir. When that's happening, you have a dry form of HHO. Dry, I mean it doesn't have the hydration that plasma does, because we do not want to introduce water into the flow meter because it'll give you an artificial high reading, and with enough water it'll cause the ball not to move, which you have to put a hairdryer to a tube. Now the light's blinking, but we'll plug in here to see how much gas we're putting out. I had the valve turned all the way out because I was trying to draw some moisture out that I had in it. And there's still too much water in there, so I'm getting a higher reading than I would normally get. The water fools you. This is where I would expect the reading to be. And we can dampen the readings with this knob on the top. It won't make it go any higher, but it'll slow down the bouncing effect. So there it is at 0.5 now. So when the gas comes out of the generator in a pumping action, and that's why you see the ball moving like that. And there is a little bit of moisture in here and stuff, which I'll take out with a hairdryer tonight. I was playing around with it and shouldn't have got so much in there. Now, I can't think of too much more to tell you. There'll be a lot of questions on the phone and such. This light right here will go out when the temperature reaches wherever the computer thinks is proper. The fans on the side come on at 100 degrees and shut off at 101 degrees, so it holds the temperature within 1 degree. We might do some changing, and I'll show you how to do that down the road with to change the plasma a little bit, and that's why we have the temperature gauge here. The next video that we're going to do is going to show how to reduce the temperature for breathing the gas and the apparatus for that. So we'll stop now.